In Matthew chapter 15, Jesus was unhappy. He was amid a people who pulled close to him with their words, but they were far away from him in their hearts. Wherever you are in your heart is where you really are. Are you distant from God? Are you numb to him in your heart? Where are you? I'm convinced that we are only ever really able to draw near to God in our hearts when we know how near we are to him in his heart. 1 John puts it this way: this is love. Not that we loved him first, but that he first loved us. We can only love God and be with him in our hearts when we know how deeply we are loved by him and how much he carries us in his own heart. Each of us is designed very uniquely to arrive at a revelation of how loved we are by God. It's unique. The pathway isn't the same for every person. In the way that human beings feel loved by other human beings in unique ways, human beings receive love from God in unique ways. Dr. Gary Chapman, a very highly acclaimed relationship expert, theorizes that human beings receive love in 5 different ways. They receive love through words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. He calls them the love languages. And he uses the word language because he says that they are the ways that we express and receive love from each other. Similarly, they are the ways that we express and receive love from God. My name is Shauna Knox, and this is Further, where we explore the real Christ and the real you. The way to life is extremely narrow, and very few of us ever find it. But let's keep looking. We'll do it together. So your heart has special conditions that allow it to be able to receive love. The first of the love languages is words of affirmation. If your heart longs for words of affirmation, you need to be encouraged and affirmed and appreciated. If you don't perceive God encouraging, affirming, and appreciating you, you'll never be near to him in your heart. Another is acts of service. If your heart is designed to be served in order to know it's loved, you need a helping hand. You need thoughtful deeds. If you never experience God coming to your rescue, you'll never be near to him in your heart. The third condition has to do with receiving gifts. If you receive love through gifts, then you need to be offered tangible symbols that represent the meaning of your relationships in order to believe that someone has affections for you. So if you never receive a tangible demonstration of the Lord's promises in your life manifesting, you'll never be near to Him in your heart. The fourth condition is quality time. If you feel secured in love through quality time, you need undivided attention. If you never encounter the Lord as Him making you the subject of His absolute undivided focus, you'll never be near to Him in your heart. The final love language is physical touch. It's actually the first way that infants receive the communication that they're loved. And elderly people long for physical touch the most in the dawning of their lives. If you need to be touched or held by God and you've never experienced physical contact with Him, you'll never be near to Him in your heart. Even though the Lord is fluent in every one of those 5 love languages, we may not be receiving His love the way our souls deeply long to receive it because there are aspects of His personhood we simply don't know. I remember once going away for a retreat many years ago. And in that setting, we really pulled heavily on the signs and wonders of God. One of the speakers had famously touched a woman who hadn't walked for decades, and through the power of the Holy Spirit, she began to walk. I understood touching people to impart the healing power of God, but I never got why people wanted to be touched simply to feel a jolt of His power. I just never went forward for those opportunities. But one day at the retreat, all of us were asked to stand and move to the front of the room to receive a touch from God. I stood there a little skeptical, but earnest in my curiosity about the utility of the exercise. And before He could even extend His arm in my direction, I heard winds as loud and forceful as if I were standing directly beside a helicopter with the propellers going. And when I saw His arm leave His side, I felt a violent jolt of power surging through my body. In no time, I was on the floor, flopping like a fish, babbling like a baby. It's hard to describe how precious and meaningful that moment was for me. That first time that I was physically touched by God, I didn't feel any pain. I was just awed and wondered by His majesty. R. York Moore is a writer and an evangelist, and he built something onto Chapman's love languages concept that I believe offers even deeper insight into why we are the way we are and why we receive love the way that we do. According to Moore, each of the love languages is actually mapped onto a particular soul longing or heart hope. A heart hope is just a specific type of longing. It's the answer to the question that's behind everything that we do. If we know what our hearts hope for, we'll know where to find them. And we'll know how to draw near to Jesus the way we were created to. The first of the heart hopes maps onto words of affirmation. If your heart hopes for words of affirmation, it longs to know, I am seen. This means that you want to know that what you do and who you are isn't unwitnessed by the Lord and the world. You want to be noticed. If you can remember yelling, "Daddy, watch me," whenever you did something for the first time as a child, then your soul longs to know that you are not invisible and that the Lord cares enough to notice you. The cry of your heart is, "Lord, I want to be seen by you." The second heart hope leads to a desire for acts of service. It is, "I matter." It means you want to know that you have an impact. You make a difference. Even if you're not seen doing what you do, you want to know that what you're doing means something. The third heart hope is, "I have worth." It's a soul longing for people who experience love through giving and receiving gifts. If your heart hopes to know that you have worth, a gift is a very powerful symbol of your value. Your heart is crying out to know that you are precious. The fourth heart hope flows from the soul longing for quality time. It is, "I am known." If people with a love language for words of affirmation want to be known widely, people with a love language of quality time want to be known deeply. Their hearts cry out for an intimate connection with the Lord. The last of the heart hopes is, "I belong." And this is a soul longing for those of us who desire physical touch. With this heart hope, touch is a vehicle through which to experience attachment, connectedness, and peace. The heart cry of "I belong" is for complete acceptance and an embracing love. In order to know where we are in our hearts, whether we're near to Him or we're not, we need to know how we were designed to receive love and whether or not we've been receiving love the way we need it from the Lord. Are you receiving love from the Lord the way that you need it? We also need to know the deeper soul longings that attach to our love language for a clearer understanding of who we are and what we need in order to be who we are. You can't be you. You can't function as you. You can't even perform as you until you are receiving, and I mean really receiving, the love of God. It's time to find out what you need and to get it. Until next time, grace and peace.